Good morning, YouTube, and to all of my subscribers and to anyone, watching this for the first time. I say welcome. As always, click like, click subscribe, and click the notification bell. That way you can receive future videos coming from me into your email box. But today I want to discuss 3 cases that I've covered in the past where CPS failed them and where they died. First is Ruth Ringer. As you know, she was a 2-month-old baby who CPS saw 4 hours before she died. She was frail and emaciated, and where she died of lack of nutrition and neglect, and her mother is presently serving 7 years in prison. And yeah, CPS saw her 4 hours before she died. Why CPS didn't remove that child immediately, I don't know. But the parents didn't have the means to feed that child. And that's what I'm going to try to connect a little bit later on. And she died a very tragic death. Then there comes A.J. Freund, who again, when he was born, opiates were found in his blood system. And CPS took him from his parents and where he spent the first year of his life in their care. He was then returned back to the parents and lived in squalid conditions. And yes, CPS had been at that house, and they failed to remove him. Little AJ was beaten to death, where the cause of his death was blunt force trauma, and then his parents buried him in a shallow grave not too far from their home. Then we have the case of Amani Moss, and her death abhorred me. Her treatment during life truly abhorred me. Little Amani suffered. At one point, she was in a grandmother's care under CPS directives, but then they returned her back home, where she was beaten, tortured, denied food, laying in a bed where her body was covered in bed sores. Yeah, that was Amani's life. Presently, her stepmother, is sitting on death row in the state of Georgia. And her father is serving a life sentence without parole. And that to me is justice. What I neglected to tell you in my coverage of Amani Moss's case was when she was dead, both parents wrapped her up in tape, stuffed her into a trash can, put charcoal briquettes on top of the body, and lit it afire, where only part of the body was burnt. And in the closing arguments by the prosecutor in that case, you will see the trash can in that courtroom, and the jury had to look over to see how that little girl's life was ended. Now I'm going to try to make a connection here, and I hope that you do see a connection. Right now, a woman's right to choose in this country is under attack. And that spells danger in the future, as far as I'm concerned. Because how many women who will be forced to give birth to children will not be able to take care of that child and even abuse that child out of resentment and anger? How many of these children will come under the umbrella of CPS, who are already overworked and underpaid? How many more Ruths, AJs, and Amanis will we see in the future? And I'm speaking specifically about poor women in these states that are trying to do away with abortion and are slowly but surely succeeding. Women of means, meaning money, they will be able to travel out of state to a state where abortion is still legal, safe, and rare. That is the danger I am foreseeing when these children start their life outside of the mother's womb. Yeah. Who is going to take care of them when the mother and, in some cases, fathers have to take care of them? It's going to fall upon all of us. You know, we constantly gripe about how much we're paying in taxes, how much welfare costs. Well, get used to it, because the cost will rise. And that's what society and these pro-lifers are not even thinking about. They think that bringing a child into the world, everything's going to be okay. Well, in too many cases, it's not okay. And I've seen the evidence. I've reported on the evidence. Justice Clarence Thomas likened birth control and abortion to Nazi science. And I want to say his argument is a load of crap. You see, right now in this modern era, we have autonomy, as for now, over our own bodies. In Nazi Germany, women and children who were separated out did not have a right over their own body. No. Prior to my Memorial Day video, I've been watching many videos dealing with the Holocaust. And I've always been interested in the Holocaust for this one reason. Those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And it can easily happen again. When women and children were sent to various death camps, they were often separated from the men who could be used for work purposes, where women and children were not. They were immediately put on a line entering into a gas chamber, and where their bodies were disposed of in crematoriums. That was the horror of Nazi Germany. And I fail to see the comparison in his argument as he tries to overturn Roe v. Wade. We have control over our bodies right now. Nazi Germany, no. Now, the final solution came about in 1939 as Hitler wanted to create this master race, the Aryan race. And it started with doing away with the mentally ill, the physically challenged, even epileptics, like me, were killed in the T4 program. Even nurses in that program were killing infants that were born with certain defects. They would give them medicine, and I even hate saying that word, just to calm them down, and then they would poison them. How does modern day compare to even that? Children were sent on school buses, gray in color. The windows were covered over. They went into certain hospitals back then, and amongst the community where that hospital was located, you would see dark smoke coming from that hospital with a pungent odor of death. That is what happened to those children. That is what Nazi Germany was all about. Clarence Thomas is on the wrong side of history when comparing a woman's right to choose with that. And this is where I want to grasp you into letting you know that we cannot allow abortion rights or a woman's right to choose to be suffocated and ended like so many Holocaust victims' lives were ended. So, his synopsis, his equating, is a ton of crap in my book. How many more cases will we hear about coming from poorer neighborhoods where children are facing death because all of a sudden their parents may grow weary of trying to take care of them? That is what we as society are not thinking about. We, as a civil society, should leave it in the hands of a woman who is going through this pregnancy. And we dare not go back to the days where we're taking a woman's autonomy away from them, like Hitler did back during the Holocaust. I hope that you're seeing a connection here, because there is one. When we start taking people's rights away from them, I really wish that Clarence Thomas would visit Auschwitz, Treblinka, Birkenau, Bergen-Belsen, and the rest of them, to see how a state controlled women and then took their lives. That is what I feel must be pointed out in rebuttal to his argument. You know, today, women who may be carrying a child who is deformed in any way, will face a hardship in any way, have to make a tough decision whether or not to carry that child to term and to give birth. And I believe it's only up to them and their doctor to make the decision whether to terminate that pregnancy. So I hope that you could see the connection that I just presented to all of you. We're going down a slippery slope right now if we start taking a woman's right to choose away from her. We are then taking control, or we are allowing the state to control our own bodies, just like the state did in Nazi Germany. Those women and those children in the millions didn't have the right for life. They didn't, because the state said so. And some can say, by giving a woman the right to choose is on the same scale. No, it's not. Because it's a woman making that decision for herself. It's not the state saying, oh, by the way, you no longer have a right over your own body. I hope really you can see a connection here. And I really don't look forward to even hearing about another death of a child who came from a poor family and where CPS failed that child, and that child is no longer here. I have the evidence, as cited in my videos. So I hope again that you click like, click subscribe, and click the notification bell. And do share this video. I feel that I made a valid case. So to the rest of all of you, have a good day and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.